So coming to seated cross-legged and closing your eyes. Noticing your breath. Don't try and change it in any way at the moment, just notice it. And so noticing your inhale, noticing your exhale, noticing the quality of your breath. Is it a little shallow? Is it a little ragged? Just being aware. And it might be that as you start to notice your breath, as you become aware of it, it slows down a little. It becomes a little deeper. But we're going to place a little bit more attention on that soon. And for now, just letting your breath be as it is. And with that awareness of the floor underneath you, of the floor underneath your sit bones, aware as well of your lifting, your rising up and away from the earth. So that you start to lengthen, start to be aware of the way that your body stacks. Yeah. And so that we become aware of the soft and the hard elements of our body. Because in that stacking away from the earth, we have the hard elements of the bone, we have that softness of the spaces in between that makes us, allows us to be mobile. From here, inhale, reach your hands up above you and just bring your gaze to your hands. Take a look at them. And in that look towards your hands, just notice is that movement of gaze being lifted really condensed behind the back of the neck, or is it more a movement right along the spine as you lift your rib cage, as you lift your belly a little, as you find that curve of your low back, but you're strong. And then tuck your chin, weave your hands together in a little basket, turn them inside out and take a stretch. Now with that chin tuck, we're also going to strengthen the muscles of our belly. So we're strengthening and engaging the muscles of our belly, and that minimizes the curve of our low back. And with those hands in that little basket, we're going to take a lean over towards the left-hand side. Doesn't matter if you go the other way, right? Just this little lean, and we're going to lift our gaze towards the right arm. You're going to find this lovely little stretch along the rib cage. Not here for too long, it's a bit compressive. We're going to come back to center, and we're going to change the weave of our hands. I know that sometimes that's a little bit of a mind trick. Yeah, so change the weave of your hands so that your other pointer finger is at the end. And then we're taking a lean the other way. So we're leaning over towards the right. And lift your gaze up towards your left arm if that feels okay, just taking a stretch across the ribs. But as well as that lengthening through the ribs, you're aware that there is an engagement through the right hand side. So you stay nice and strong. Let's come back to center. We're going to reach those hands out wide, reach them away, spread your fingers, lift your shoulders and just roll them down your back a little. And now can you feel a little stretch through your elbows? Let's turn those palms towards the ceiling. And can you rotate them back a little further? Where does that rotation end? Where is it that you need to stay steady? Now with those hands rotated just as far back as you can, it might be more towards the ceiling, we're just going to roll circles with our arms. As you roll circles with your arms, spread your fingers. Notice your breath. We haven't really changed the breath yet, so just noticing how is it moving, how is your body, how is your awareness, how is your energy. Now turn those palms towards the floor and then back towards the back of your mat and roll those hands in circles. Then from here, keep rolling those hands in circles, but bring your palms towards the floor. So still reaching those arms out wide, but palms are now angled towards the floor, and roll those arms in circles in the other direction. Just warming up our shoulders this morning, or this afternoon, or today. From here, we're going to take this into a little shoulder stretch. So bring that right hand across, reach it across the body, but keep that shoulder where it is. Reach the left hand underneath. You can hook it around. Yeah, so that your arm rests on your elbow, and then just slide it down. Feeling that nice little stretch across your shoulder. We're not pulling too hard. We're keeping that shoulder drawn back a little. Just exploring a stretch through this arm. And then we're coming through the other side, so let's reach those arms out wide again. Other arm out in front of the body, left arm, reaching that right arm underneath and sliding it down. So that you're sliding that arm down along the crook of your elbow. It's taking a little stretch through your shoulder, but still drawing that left shoulder back a little. So we're not starting to rock it towards the center of our body, we're just finding a stretch through the ligaments and tendons there. And then release that head. We're going to have a little stretch through the front of our shoulders now. And to do that, we're going to just reach the hands behind you, clasp them together, glide them down, roll your shoulders open, squeezing your shoulder blades back towards each other. You might lift your gaze. And it might be that you can touch your fist or your thumbs down towards the floor. Yeah. But your aim isn't just to straighten your arms, your aim is to just have a little stretch across your shoulders, across the front of your chest. And then let's come back up into our seated pose. We'll stretch our hips a little later, but now we're going to come on over to hands and knees. And this is where we're going to really connect with our breath. So we're going to connect with our breath with movement. As you inhale, lifting up into your cow pose, really lengthening, finding the length of that breath as well. And exhale, coiling into cat. We're going to take that a number more times. As you inhale through your nose, lifting into cow pose, nice and slow breath, slow and even. Exhale, coil into cat. Getting the engagement of your belly. Inhale through the nose, lifting into cow pose. And exhaling through the nose and coiling into cat. We're going to place another little movement onto this. Inhale, lift into cow pose, breathing through your nose. Exhale, pressing all the way back into child's pose. Slightly longer movement, right? We're going to inhale, rocking forwards into cow pose. Breathing through your nose. Exhale, pressing back through cat into child's pose. That's it, a couple more times. We inhale, we rock forwards into cow. We exhale, we rock back into child's pose. We're changing this a little more, but our breath is staying with this steady rhythm. So inhale, come to hands and knees. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Two more of those in time with your breath. Inhale, hands and knees. Yeah, exhale, downward facing dog. That's it. Taking the Ujjayi breath if you can. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog, and pause there, but don't pause that breath. Keep breathing steadily and evenly, breathing through the nose, creating that little oceanic sound of Ujjayi breath at the base of the throat. And then we're placing some movements here as well, right? The breath is always moving through your body, so we always have that movement. But let's inhale and reach that left leg up behind us into three-legged dog. And exhale, squeeze that left knee towards the belly, maybe rocking your shoulders over your wrists into a little plank pose. Two more of those. We're going to inhale, reach that left leg back behind us into three-legged dog. And we're going to exhale and squeeze that left knee towards the belly and rock our shoulders over wrists. One more time. We inhale, reach that left leg back behind us into three-legged dog. Exhale, squeeze that left knee towards the belly, rocking forwards, shoulders over wrists. Set that left foot back into downward facing dog. Take a rest in hands and knees if you need to. We're staying here for a couple more breaths. That Ujjayi breath. Breath that sounds like the ocean at the base of your throat. If you're in hands and knees, come back up to downward facing dog. We're going to start moving again. But hey, you can do this movement in hands and knees. If down dog is just a little too strong, then take that hands and knees option. So inhale, reach that right leg back behind you into three-legged dog. And then exhale, squeeze that right knee towards your belly, shoulders over wrists into plank if you can. Squeezing down into those hands. Inhale, right leg back behind you into three-legged dog. Exhale, squeezing knee towards your belly, rocking shoulders over wrists if you can. One more time, reaching that right leg back behind you on the inhale. And exhale that knee towards the belly, rocking shoulders over wrists. That's it. Let's step that right foot back beside the left. And walk your hands back towards your feet. We need to let those arms go a little, yeah? So we're going to let those arms go. Let those hands have a little shake. Take hold of your elbows in your hands and take a little rock from side to side. Just really noticing this pose, your forward fold. It's not just a break in between, right? It's a pose, and so we're setting it up well. Bending your knees, having your feet sit bone distance apart, and having your knees bent enough that you can have your belly resting on your thighs, and the rest of your body just waterfalls down over your leg. Be conscious of how this feels through your back if you have any issues with your back, right? Just move carefully, move with awareness, modify as you need to. Let's find that even grounding down into the feet. Can you find the balls of your feet? Can you find your toes, your heels, really pressing down? We're going to inhale and straighten your legs, slide your hands up to your shins, and just lengthen out away into halfway lift. We're staying here for a couple of breaths, really settling into this pose. It might be that you can glide your hands a little further down your legs towards your feet. Yeah, it might be that you can even bring your fingertips down to the floor, and then you can really start to rock around through the weight of the body. And stay here for one more breath, just exploring this pose. And then we're going to bend our knees on an exhale and come back down into forward fold. From forward fold, inhale, sweep your hands towards the sky, lift. Yeah, lift your hands, but sit down. We're coming into awkward chair. So find yourself in your awkward chair pose. Again, we're here for a few breaths. So just sitting down into that chair, but nice and grounded through the soles of the feet. Again, nice and evenly. Now, I quite like to draw my hands into prayer in front of my heart space for the next movement, but if you want to keep them raised, you can. Rock your weight over into your left foot, float up onto your right toes. Yeah, if you feel like you can go a little further, hug that right knee towards you. If you feel like you can take this a little further, just pop that right ankle on top of that left thigh and sit a little more deeply. That's it. Breathing. Just like in life, if you've stopped breathing, you've gone a little too far. Yeah, so keep breathing. Keep noticing the movement of your breath, the way that it moves your body, the way that your body moves your breath. Be present, be aware, and if you're holding your breath, just come back a step. We're going to lower that right foot down towards the floor and we're going to rise up to stand. Inhale, sweep your hands towards the sky, lift your gaze. Exhale, swan dive forwards, all the way down into forward fold, and then we're exploring that halfway lift again. So straightening your legs, gliding up to halfway lift just for this breath, and then exhale back down into forward fold. Bend those knees, reach those hands, coming into your awkward chair again. This time we're going to rock our weight over into the other foot. So we're going to rock it into the right foot. Remember, it's okay to bring your hands down into prayer in front of your heart space, like me, and you can do that. Floating those left toes. Maybe just coming up onto the tiptoe, maybe lifting them up off the ground. Maybe squeezing that knee a little closer. Perhaps popping that ankle on top of the opposite thigh and sinking a little deeper into this pose. But just whatever is working for you today. Be aware of how your energy is, of what this is bringing up for you. Be gentle, be kind. Have compassion here in your practice. Maybe you can sit a little deeper. Let's keep that left foot flexed. And then rising back up to stand. We're going to inhale, sweep those hands towards the ceiling, lift our gaze, and exhale, swan dive forwards again into forward fold. From this forward fold, inhale, lift your gaze. And then exhale and walk those hands forwards. Let's walk them all the way forwards into plank pose. And then once you find yourself in that plank pose, just check in. Do you need to lower those knees down to the ground? Still breathing nice and smooth and even. Yeah, so when I stop with my breath instruction, you don't stop with your breath. You keep breathing. From here now, we're going to lift that left leg up behind us on an inhale. We're going to exhale and squeeze that left knee towards us. You can do that with the right knee down on the ground. Inhale, lift that left leg back behind you. Yeah, all lifted. Exhale, squeeze that left knee towards your belly. One more time. We're going to inhale, that left leg presses back behind us. Exhale, squeeze that left knee towards the belly. Pop that foot back behind you, knees down on the ground, rock back into child's pose. In your child's pose, remember, support your forehead on your fists if you need to. Your hips might draw back towards your heels, they may not. How is your breath? When we take some strong poses, there is that tendency to lose the breath. Right? Remember that if you start to have that breath really catch, then you're going to modify so that you can return to that even flowing Ujjayi breath. And only when you can maintain that even flowing Ujjayi breath will you place those challenging poses on top of it. And so our challenge here in our practice is, can we take challenging poses? Do we know how far to go while we're still looking after ourselves? Do we understand what are challenges that we can take? Do we understand by checking in with our bodies, with our physical bodies, when we've pressed a little too far? And then carry that on out into the world so that you know when to draw back a little when you're kind of driving into something a little too far. Yeah, honor yourself, honor your emotions, honor your consciousness of what you know is right for you. And so we're practicing that here in these asanas, our physical practice, so that we can use that on a deeper level. You ready? We're going to come on up to hands and knees on our inhale. Let's exhale and press back to downward facing dog. And then from down dog, rock that pose forward so that you're coming into your plank pose. Remember that left knee can get down on the floor here if you want, because we're going to inhale and lift our right leg up behind us. And then exhale and squeeze that right knee towards your belly. And twice more, right? So that left knee can be lowered if you want. We inhale, reach that right leg back behind us. And we exhale and squeeze that right knee towards our belly. One more time. We're going to inhale, reach that right leg back behind us. And exhale, squeeze that right knee back towards the belly. Pop that leg back behind you. But this time we're pressing to downward facing dog. And from down dog, we're going to creep our feet forward so that we come to forward fold now at the front of our mats. So in that forward fold, I really like to inhale and find that length along my spine first, and then with the exhale, soften and deepen the pose. With those knees bent enough for the belly to connect with your thighs, with your head softening and releasing away, finding that stretch along your spine, across your shoulders. How are your wrists feeling? We're using that interoception here, that perception of how our physical body is, so that we know when to adjust our practice and know when to change poses. Practicing with compassion. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Now from this halfway lift, we're going to really kind of drive up so that we can lengthen out along from the tail to the crown, and we're going to see if we can have an idea of our upper body extending out parallel to the floor. Yeah, so not lower, not higher, but parallel. We're going to see how that feels for us here. And then we're going to soften back down into forward fold. Are you ready? We're going to take that again. We're going to inhale. We're going to extend right out for along from our tail, straightening our legs without locking our knees. Back of the head is a curve of the spine. Exhale back down into forward fold. One more time. We're going to inhale, rise up to halfway lift, pressing onto our thighs, lengthening from the tail. Shoulder blades draw back and down now. Back of the head, a curve of the spine. Exhale back down into forward fold. Inhale, rise to upward chair. Exhale, rise to stand. That's it. From standing, bring your hands into prayer in front of your heart space. Rock your weight into your left foot. We're going to come to our warrior three. It's a balance pose. Your right foot can stay down on the floor. Imagining that your body is a seesaw. That seesaw is just staying long, right? The deepest your upper body is going to go is where we just were in halfway lift, parallel to the floor. So rocking your weight into your left foot, we're going to start to glide our right legs back behind us. It might be that they leave the ground. Yeah, it might be that you fold forwards in this pose. It might be even that your upper body comes parallel to the floor like it was in that halfway lift, but now your leg is reaching out behind you into warrior. Draw those shoulders back a little like we did in that last movement through. And then we're going to place that right foot back behind us into lunge. Now in this lunge, there's a spreading of the feet. So we're pressing forwards with our left foot, back with our right foot. Maybe we can deepen this pose a little, but not hanging on your hips. Instead, there is power in this pose. There is power in softness, and there is power in strength and contraction. And we have both here. Now here's where we're going to go. We're going to take a movement of three, but only if you want to. I know there's been some strong poses here. We're going to see if we can lower our right knee to hover off the ground. And then we're going to press it back behind us. We're going to really press that right heel away. Once more, we're going to see if we can lower that right knee to hover off the ground. And then we're going to press that right foot back behind us, taking a nice stretch through the front of the body. One more time, we're going to lower that right knee to hover off the ground. And then we're pressing it back again. Are you ready? We're going to take a step forward so that we're back standing at the front of our mats. Now, because we really switched that left leg on through those movements, it might be that you felt quite steady as you stepped forwards. If you didn't, it's all good. It's okay. Some days balance is just a challenge. Bring those hands back down beside you. We're going to ground ourselves down into Tadasana, our mountain pose. Just roll those shoulders up and down the back. Round down through your feet, take a little rock from side to side, see if you can find a nice evenness. We're staying here for a couple more breaths, just getting that breath steady, that breath flowing. Now imagine in your Tadasana that I'm just putting a little bit of pressure just underneath your rib cage, and that you're softening away from my fingers there. What does that feel like? Imagine now that I'm just placing a little bit of pressure under your belly button. And that aligns you there. And now imagine that I'm touching just on your sternum, between your clavicle, between your collarbones. And what does that softness feel like? That softening away. And finally, just resting my fingers on your third eye chakra, the space of your forehead, just above the bridge of your nose. And what does it feel like to soften away from my touch there? And hands back down beside you, back into mountain pose. Are you a little more grounded? How is that alignment? How is that rising up along the body? Just aware. Staying here for one more breath. Bring your hands into prayer, rock your weight over into your right foot, and like that seesaw movement again, so staying really powerful through your body, through that alignment through your body, we start to lift our left leg, and as we do, we tip forwards. Now, just tipping as far as that left leg wants to lift. Because it can be the tendency for your upper body to just relax forwards. Now, this is a powerful pose through the muscles of the back, the side, the belly, so maintain it as that. Maybe you can angle forward so that your upper body is parallel to the floor. Yeah, maybe. maybe you need to keep those toes down on the ground. So just see what is working for you, right? Because that is still warrior 3. How's your breath? Are you still breathing that powerful Ujjayi breath? And then we're touching that left foot back behind us into lunge, just as wide as feels okay for you. And again, we've got that pressure of our right foot towards our left foot back that's creating a lovely stretch down the left-hand side. But we're keeping engaged through that left glute. Is that left glute nice and strong? Don't switch it off. Keep it powered up and engaged. No need to anticipate. You're here. You're in this breath. You don't need to be doing anything else. You can rest when you need to. It's all good. Yeah. But if you want to come through with this movement of 3 with me, then you can. If you feel like that is a challenge you want to accept today, then go for it. Let's lower that left knee to hover off the floor. And then press that left foot back behind us. Now we're moving with our phase of breath. So let's exhale and lower that left knee to hover off the floor. If inhale works better for you, all good. And then with the next phase of breath, we're pressing that foot back behind us, really lengthening through the front of the left leg. We've got one more, I think. Lowering that knee to hover, and then pressing that leg back. That's it. And we're nice and strong through that right leg. Can you feel that? Press down into your right foot, step that left foot forwards. Maybe a little more balance in that step than there sometimes are, maybe. Hands come back down beside you now and again. We're going to bring our awareness to our mountain pose, our Tadasana. Now, if that idea of imagining that I was putting some pressure and some spaces on your body wasn't quite enough, then use your hands as I say it. So let's start again with that little bit of pressure. Imagine that I'm placing a little bit of pressure just underneath the sternum, just at the diaphragm. And as you breathe, you soften away from my fingers. Imagine now that I'm placing a little bit of pressure just above the pubic bone, just below the belly button, a little bit below the belly button, and you're softening away from there. How does that change the tilt of your pelvis? How does that change the tilt of your pelvis? Does it at all? Does it bring a little bit of awareness to that space? We're going to keep the fingers or the acknowledgement of that pressure on the solar plexus just below the sternum, and we're going to move the intention of that pressure just above the pubic bone to the sternum, softening there. What happens across your shoulders as you imagine my hand pressing lightly on your sternum. And now that hand, that pressure just underneath your sternum, your solar plexus, is going to move to rest on your third eye. And as you breathe, you're softening away from that pressure of my hands on your body here. And keeping that alignment through your body, reach your hands out. And then soften them down beside you. Notice your breath. Notice the alignment of your body as your feet press down on the floor and the rest of your body rises and lifts away. Can you become aware of the space across your shoulders? Yeah. But at the same time, not compressing your shoulder blades. So can you stay long through the back of your body as well as long through the front? Let's inhale, sweep those hands towards the sky again. We're going to exhale, come down into forward fold. So swan diving down into your forward fold. And from your forward fold, now if you have pain through the knees, a push in a blanket is fantastic. We're going to step that left knee back into a little kneeling position. But we're going to rock back from this kneeling position so that we can straighten our right leg. Now, it can be good to be resting on a wall or a chair as we do that. Yeah. Now, if this is too hard on your left knee, then the option for this pose is to sit down. Your left foot towards your inner thigh and your right leg extended. You're not going to come through some other aspects of the pose if this is you. You're just going to enjoy this space folding forwards over your right leg, taking this stretch. Yeah. Otherwise, we are extending that right leg and seeing if we can take a little fold forwards over it. And maybe each breath grounds you a little bit more so that you can fold a little bit more deeply. A wonderful key to our forward folds is the strength of your belly. Right? Sometimes we think we can just soften forwards, but we're actually strong and engaged through the belly. Maybe you can feel that more on your exhale as it draws you a little bit deeper into this fold. Now from here, if you're sitting down on the floor, sole of your left foot in towards your right inner thigh, come up, if it feels okay, and take a low lunge. Left knee steps back a little and we take a stretch down through that left thigh, the left hip flexor. If you are extending that right leg out in front of you, then what we're going to do is we're going to tuck our toes under and see if we can step that left knee back a little. Just a little. We're going to keep drawing those right toes back towards us. We don't need to be in a full monkey pose. Don't feel like that's where we're going, right? But we are starting to draw that left knee back and just explore what this pose is. If you're holding your breath, you've gone a little too far. Is your left glute still nice and strong and engaged? Turn it on and still aware of your left foot back on the floor. Staying here for a couple more breaths. Hey, we've got here, so why not stay here a little longer? Just exploring a stretch down the front of the left. If you're in this pose with your right leg extended, then you're getting that stretch down the back of your right leg, but you may not be. Now from here, we're all going to come down and bring that left sole foot towards the right inner thigh. So some of you have already been here and you're revisiting it. And for some of us, this is our first float on through. So the sole of the foot towards the right inner thigh if possible. And we're just going to twist our body out over that right leg. So we find a little bit of engagement through the waist. And we're actually in a twist here. And maybe from here, you can start to fold down over that right leg. Not forcing, it's just a little fold because we are in a twist. Now each breath, there's a little drawing in of your belly button towards your spine, there's a little further twist down over your leg, but we're not pulling. That motion is happening through the breath, through the muscles of the body, so that we can keep our spine nice and happy. And then we're coming through the other side. So now the other foot is going to step forwards and the other leg is going to step back so that we're in this lunge pose. Yeah. And then we're going to straighten the back of that forward leg. And you're going to see if you have the space to fold forwards over it. Now, if that right leg is a little sore back down here on the ground, then we're going to come to seated and we're going to bring the sole of the right foot into towards the left inner thigh, and we're just going to take a little fold forwards over it, or just be seated. And you're just going to enjoy where you're at there. No, you don't need to be anywhere else. You can just be right there, enjoying that stretch. Yeah, but if that leg is extended, we're just taking a fold forwards over it. Now from there, if you've got the sole of your foot towards your inner thigh, right, and you're in the seated position, now you can come up. And we're going to press that foot forwards and just take a little stretch through the hip flexor. And then if you had that leg extended, yeah, we're going to start creeping that right foot back, taking a little stretch down the back of the leg, coming into our little monkey pose. Noticing that breath, letting your breath just support you in this pose. Maybe you don't need to be too far back, just whatever is supportive, and we're still aware of the top of that right foot back behind us. And we're here for a few more breaths just because we got here, so why not? Yeah. So whichever pose that is that you're taking, whichever pose is supportive for you, just aware of your breath, the steady, even rhythm of your breath. And then we're all coming back down, and we're going to bring the sole of our right foot towards our left inner thigh. Yeah. And we're going to take a little twist. So we're twisting ourselves out over that extended left leg. And maybe you've got the space to fold forwards over that leg. Yeah, but we're not pulling. Your hands are resting wherever they want to be. But we're not pulling because we are in a twist and we don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the health of our spine. So just in that little twist, the muscles of the belly are drawing you around into that twist over your left leg, and you're folding and deepening that pose with each breath you take, even if it's just because you're moving into the space left by the breath, right? Because the inhale lifts us a little, and the exhale deepens and draws us a little further over that leg, just as far as you've got. Ready, we're going to come back up to seated. We're really quite well set up for butterfly pose. So let's bring the soles of our feet together. Now it's okay to have your hands behind you supporting yourself in butterfly pose as you press the soles of your feet together and soften your knees, or it might be that you want to take hold of your feet and start to draw yourself forwards into a little fold. Just know that in butterfly pose, if you've had any pain through your sacroiliac joint or through your sacrum, it is a little bit of a compressive pose there, so just take it cautiously, just move lightly. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't feel okay for your hips and knees, so just recognizing that if that's your modifier, just like any pose, the modifier doesn't feel okay. Not pushing into pain. Hey, how's that breath? Let's come back to a little bit of attention to that as you inhale deeply through your nose, and as you exhale deeply through your nose. Sounding like the ocean, right? Moving like the waves. Your body has that gentle rise and fall, the even flow like the sea. And then going back up to seated. We're going to extend our legs out long in front of us, but press the inside of your thighs or wherever your legs connect together, so giving them a little squeeze together. Yeah. And then relax them and have them a little bit apart. So your feet either sit bone distance apart. If you need a little more space than that, take it. But let's not press our legs together. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of space, a little bit of space between them. And from here, taking a little light fold forwards over your legs. Right, and if you consider that we are made up of a lot of water, then we're going to encourage that movement, because water that is still and stagnant isn't healthy water. You know, we're keeping the water in our body moving, oxygenated and vital. And so with each breath, there's a little float up. Some days we need a little bit more of a float up. Some days we're content to be a little stiller and a little quieter in our movements. So recognizing where it is that you're at today, accepting that and honoring that. From this little seated forward fold, we're going to rock on over into a bit of a back bend. Really aware of the muscles down the back of the body. So not too much of a front lift, it's a back bend. So when you're ready, roll on over onto your belly. And in this little back bend, we're going to bring our hands, I do call it a little back bend because it is quite small. We're going to bring our hands beside the rib cage. We're going to rest the top of the feet quite firmly down on the floor. So actually my knees lift a little when I do that, and then I need to try and soften them back down and work out that puzzle. And from there, you can press lightly into your hands, inhale, lift into Cobra. Now in Cobra, can you press down through the glutes so that you're really grounding down into the top of the pelvic bone, so that you're grounding down into the low belly a little, so that as you feel your breath, you can really feel it filling up and releasing, and a bit of pressure through your belly as that happens. In this pose, you could lift your hands if you wanted, because the action is really strongly through the low back. But we're going to take this a little further in our back bend. We're going to see if we can lift our feet now. Now we're in a bit of a banana boat pose. And then soften back down towards the floor. Turn your head in one direction, ear resting down on the ground, and just bring your hands down beside you, so long as this feels okay. Yeah, it might be that the shape of your body doesn't feel good with this pose and you need to modify it using some cushions or just not take it at all, and that's okay. We're taking a stretch of the neck. You can do that sitting up. Yeah, you can do that sitting up. Bringing that gaze back to center now, we're going to turn our gaze towards the other side. So we're going to rest down on the opposite ear. But remember, if for any reason this pose doesn't work for you, if the shape of your body doesn't allow it, if there's tension through your neck and this feels a little forceful, then just come up to seated and take a little turn of your gaze one way and then the other. Stay here for another breath if you're okay here. And then gazing back to center, pressing down into those hands. We're going to come up into hands and knees and then over to seated. We're moving through an inversion today. The inversion that we're going to move through today is going to be shoulder stand, and I'm going to show you a modified version of the pose here against the wall. If you have a wall that you want to come through a modified version of the pose in, then you can. Now, to limit some of the pressure through the back of the neck, there is the option to have your shoulders resting on a blanket as you take your shoulder stand. I'm not going to take that option today. I'm just going to move to the shoulder stand as I usually take it, because it's just the way that I enjoy it. But if you'd like to have your shoulders resting up on the blanket, you can, and I can talk you through a little bit more of that as we go. Yeah, we're not quite there yet, right? Now we're going to roll over onto our side and we're going to come down to the floor. And then before we come to our shoulder stand, we have some nice strong poses really to engage the center, the core of our body. We're going to use that in our shoulder stand too. Yeah, we're going to draw our knees towards our belly. Now, can you give your knees a little squeeze? That's it. Squeeze them so that you lift your low back slightly up off the floor. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. And again, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. Legs towards the sky. If your legs aren't 90 degrees or closer to your face, bend your knees. Yeah, so that you're not working your belly really, really hard through all of this pose. We're going to bring hands behind the back of our head. Can you then lift your head up off the ground and maybe lift your shoulders up off the floor? The legs straight if you can, otherwise bend them, it's all good. Lower your left leg to hover off the ground. And stay here for a breath. Lift that left leg back up towards the ceiling. And lower that right leg to hover off the ground. Stay here for a breath. Lift that right leg back up. One more time. We're going to lower that left leg to hover off the ground. This time we're going to bring our left arm and we're going to reach it across to the outside of the right leg. But stay grounded nice and square through the back of your pelvis. And as you next exhale, maybe you can deepen this twist a little. It is a little twist. As you inhale, maybe we lessen this twist. And then as you exhale, deepen it again. Lifting that left leg back up. Lower the back of your head back down to the floor for a moment. Take a breath, a full breath. In those belly poses, our breath is sometimes restricted, and we're seeing if we can breathe as fully as possible while we're working through that challenge. Lower that right leg to hover off the floor, scoop up those shoulders. And then reach that right arm across to the outside of the left leg. I'm not holding my left leg. My palm is out to the side and I'm just taking a reach. I'm not pulling. Yeah. Grounding down nice and evenly through your pelvis. How is that breath? Are you still breathing? Let's lift that right leg back up and lower the shoulders back down towards the floor. Draw your knees in towards you, give them a squeeze. Belly's nice and switched on. We're prepared for a shoulder stand. If you're not taking inversion today, an option can be to rest the back of your pelvis on a soft blanket. So it's a little elevated, and then lift your knees towards your belly. Not a block. Don't rest the back of your pelvis on a block. Okay? But maybe on a soft blanket or a cushion. If you're taking shoulder stand and you don't need to take the modified pose, I'm going to take you there now. And then I'm going to show you the version up against the wall, those of you who want to take it. So if you're taking shoulder stand, drawing your knees towards your belly, lifting those hips up off the floor, and then drawing the feet up. Now, we still have a little inversion here, right? So, we still have a little jackknife of the hips drawing away from the chin a little. Yeah, and we can have that jackknife and still start to straighten our legs slightly. But only if your breath is nice and even. Now notice that in your shoulder stand, the pressure of the blood builds up in the face, but then as you maintain your breath, that eases a little, as your brain tells your heart to slow down a bit. And that's the way it's supported for your blood pressure. Now stay here if you're happy here. When you want to come down, just gliding down from the pose. If you wanted to take the modified version against the wall, I'm going to show you that now. So you can have a blanket, come and sit your hips right up against the wall because it's hard to shimmy over once you're here. And from here, lying down and lifting your legs up the wall. Hands now beside you. We can bring the soles of our feet down on the wall now, and we can press into the soles of the feet and start to lift our hips. Yeah. And maybe from here you want to stay here because, boy, does it feel good across the back of your shoulders. Or you might want to lift your feet away from the wall and play with shoulder stand here where you feel you've got a little bit more support. Yeah. So just having a play with that pose, wherever you are in shoulder stand, just maintaining as much stillness as possible. There's the breath moving your body moving your breath. Not wriggling your head around too much or using it as an opportunity for any leg stretches. So taking a couple more breaths. Now there are a couple of ways you can come down out of shoulder stand, but however you come down, you're coming down in as supportive a way as possible. Yeah? And so it might be that you bend your knees towards your face and just coil the rest of your body down towards the floor from there. It might be that you extend your legs out quite long and start to roll down to the floor from there. Once you're down from shoulder stand, feet reaching towards the ceiling, let's just take hold behind the back of our thighs and bend our knees. Now, if it's too hard to hold behind the back of your thighs, if the shape of your body isn't allowing that, then take hold of your knees. Your body is fine the way it is. It's your practice that needs modifying. Not your body, your practice. Modify your practice so that it is accessible. We're staying here for another couple of breaths, and then we're preparing for Shavasana, the pose that we have been preparing for through this whole practice. Before we get there though, I want to really connect us to the breath again. So the soles of the feet come down to the floor. We're going to counter our shoulder stand just very lightly. It's going to be a very light counter. Right, it's a mini fish pose. I like to call it a guppy. You're going to extend those legs out long. Bring those hands down beside you. Tip your shoulder blades under. Yeah, so that your sternum does lift away from the floor. And just lift your gaze back towards the back of your mat. Just a little fish pose. It's a baby fish. And then release. Soften everything back down towards the floor. Again, draw your knees in towards your belly. Take a rock from side to side. Notice as your head rocking with the rest of your moving body, if it's not, get it involved. Now, in keeping with that statement, it's not your body that needs modifying, it's your practice. Let that idea sit with you. You were created just as you were meant to be. No mistakes. And your body has served you well. It's got you here on your mat. Yeah, you're doing good. So recognize that. Recognize the great things that your body is doing. Recognize that your body is a wonderful thing and take a little bit of time to love it. Your body doesn't need to fit your practice needs to fit your body. Now that's all. So in your mind, repeat, I am wonderful. I am just as I am meant to be. I love myself. And again, I am wonderful. I am just as I am meant to be. I love myself. Touch the soles of those feet down onto the floor. If this feels really good with your knees bent, and it often does, then practice Shavasana with a blanket or something behind the back of your knees. Let your legs rest down on the floor, your hands down beside you. Make space for this beautiful body of yours. Give it room to rest. This wonderful body of yours, take up the space that it needs to. I like to lift my hips and pop them back down a little further away, so I'm getting a stretch down the back of my body. Maybe you'd like to do that as well. Tuck your chin a little and then just release that tucking and relax your head back down onto the floor. Palms towards the ceiling allows your shoulders to rest really comfortable. If that doesn't work for you, all good. But release and let go. Close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, becoming a little more aware of the sensations, of the senses. Maybe it's the things that you can hear. And then drawing that awareness inwards so that you can hear your breath. And as you hear or feel that breath moving through your body, notice that as you draw your breath in through your nose, there is a sensation of chill at the end of your nose, in your nostrils. And as you exhale, and that breath is warm to the temperature of your body, and that chill isn't there anymore. Because as you inhale, you're drawing in nurture from the earth and nourishing each of your cells. And as you exhale, you're releasing anything that doesn't serve you back out into the world. Deepening your connection to the earth as you inhale, drawing energy from the earth. And as you exhale, releasing a little of your energy back out again. As you draw in energy from the earth. And as you exhale, releasing anything that doesn't serve you. As you inhale, aware of your physical connection to the ground, softening and deepening that. And as you exhale, releasing your body a little more. Continuing that even flowing pattern of breath to the very edges of your body and around. Recognizing as you breathe that there don't seem to be any edges anymore, that there is a flowing, that movement continues in this circular fashion. And you release and let go. Grounded in that knowledge that you are part of nature, and that as part of nature, you are just as you should be. That you can let go because everything is happening as it should. It's the only way that it could be. So release and let go, soften, trust. Each breath releasing you a little further. Relaxing a little more. Softening. Letting go. Surrendering to Shavasana. And then that energy starts to rise again, starts to bubble up. And that energy is you, that is your life force. Isn't it wonderful? Recognize it. Maybe take a little stretch, a little head on. Taking that movement over onto your side. From your side, pressing down into the floor. And rising up to seated. And seated, rest your hands down on your knees. Keep those eyes closed or close them if they're open. Inhale deeply through your nose and then sigh out through your mouth. One or maybe the deepest breath you've taken today. Let that breath settle. Only breathe when you feel you need to. I love you to practice with you today. Namaste.